Hey gang, Pastor Jerry, good morning. Hey, just want to give you all a few thoughts from my Bible study this morning. I'm in 2 Thessalonians, going through the whole chapter. There's only a few verses in the whole chapter, but this is what struck me. Paul's disciples were going through a lot of persecutions and sufferings for being a Christian, for standing up for their faith. And sometimes we think that we're going through a hard time when our boss tells us certain things, or we have a rough day at work or in traffic, or God allows some horrible thing in our life to happen. It's a common occurrence, not a common occurrence. You know what? I'm going to read it to you. This is what it says. It says, verse 3 says, "Dear brothers and sisters, we can't," and this is out of the NLT, "we can't help but thank God for you because your faith is flourishing and your love for one another is growing. We proudly tell God's other churches about your endurance and faithfulness in all the persecutions and hardships you were suffering." Then verse 5 is what got me. And then he says, "And God will use this persecution to show his justice and to make you worthy of his kingdom, for which you are suffering." I'll read again, verse 5. "And God will use this persecution to show his suffering. And God will use this persecution to show his justice and to make you worthy of his kingdom, for which you are suffering. In this justice, he will pay back those who persecute you." So it's God who is the one who can pay people back, not us. We have to endure it for a season. And right now, if you're suffering for Christ, if you are doing things that Christ has called you to do, and you're in God's purpose, and you're suffering for it, you are missing out on things. You've lost family members. You may be anywhere in the world. It's part of the plan. And the key thing is that it makes you worthy of his kingdom. And I looked up the word worthy in the Greek, and it means deserving. So if you're not suffering, you don't deserve his kingdom. If you're not suffering, you have no value of heaven. If you're suffering, if you're going through hard times because of your faith, that means that you are worthy of hanging out with God. You are worthy of the call. You are worthy of of the name Christian. And so that's just a little tidbit this morning to let you guys know that no matter what happens today, what you suffer will help make you worthy. It'll help your endurance. It'll keep you strong. And then I think in a cool way, when we suffer for Christ, when we're in his purpose, other Christians will be encouraged and God will be proud of us. The Bible says that there's a great cloud of witnesses looking at us. And so as we walk through this walk of faith, as we put Christ first, as we have our Jesus why, I discussed that in church yesterday. Go look at the video. As we have our Jesus why here, when we begin to suffer, when God allows us to suffer, when Satan throws those spears at us, when we go through suffering, and we ask ourselves, why am I doing this? And it's all for the glory of God. So anyway, morning Bible study. I'm halfway done. I'll catch you guys later on. See ya.